Good morning. Good morning. How are you this morning? Hope you've had an amazing weekend. I've still got a bit of a sore throat from COVID a few weeks ago. It seems to be lingering. Anybody else had that lingering COVID thing? Never seems to clear up fully. I'm drinking loads and loads of water because I'm constantly feeling like my throat needs it. Anyway, enough about that. How are you? I am feeling this morning really, really grateful. I think that's the word that I'm looking for. Really, really grateful, because I'm here this morning to talk about the journey that I've taken with, first of all, with Nixie Foster, who is one of my very successful former creative mastermind clients who's just graduated. And she has become a publishing house. So she's now got an independent publishing house. And while she was on the mastermind, she had this amazing idea for a book. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. I want to talk to you about the recent, very recent launch of Seasoned with Empowerment. And last week, the book hit #1 bestseller in the hot new releases. We were hovering around 3 and 2, and it did actually hit the top spot, with the paperback just about to be released. Now, what this book is something really special. When Nixie came to me, and I need to tell you the whole story because this is really important. There's a whole journey that's gone along with this. So when Nixie came to me and joined the creative mastermind just over a year and a bit ago, she was completely lost. She had invested in herself in other coaching programs. She had spent loads of money on her self-development. She'd been a really successful business owner in hospitality for many, many years. She was in the online space trying to build a business, but really confused, being told she must do this, she must do that. And it's so confusing when that's the messaging that you are getting. So when Nixie came to me, and I was like, my first thing that I said to her was, what really brings you the greatest joy? What's the thing you used to dream about as a child? And that's when she said, well, I wrote some children's books when I was a child, and I've got all these ideas. And I said, so why are you trying to build a course or do other things? They can come down the line. You should be following what you truly believe is your joy. So Nixie did that, and she self-published a journal, a moon gazing journal. She self-published a first of 5 children's books. And then this collaboration idea for Seasoned with Empowerment came up. And it's part of the She Allowed movement. So she's created a whole movement called She Allowed. Stories Heard Empower is the acronym, She Allowed. And Seasoned with Empowerment, Nixie wanted to bring those wonderful stories that we as women tell and pass down generations. The stories that are often told in the kitchen whilst we're cooking, creating recipes. She wanted that feel of genuine storytelling to come through, and had this great idea of building this book of women telling their stories from when they were silenced to when they felt empowered to enter the world and tell their stories with confidence. So it's a wonderful collaboration book, Seasoned with Empowerment. It's a wonderful collaboration book. It's very different to the other collaboration books that you'll have seen out there. Okay, so there's lots of women coming together in groups telling their stories. This is different. So what you've got in this book is the story of how you've kind of been silenced and then felt empowered, but linked to a family recipe. So something that maybe is a story you would tell from the kitchen. So it's a lovely idea. I loved it. So, even though I'm a published author in my own right, I wanted to be part of this book because it enabled me to tell a part of my story that I don't usually talk about on social media. Many of you have heard my story over and over again, and you will continue to hear my story over and over again. I tell it to inspire and empower other women of how I lost everything and ended up at rock bottom. But there are more stories behind that. The detail that we don't share when we tell our stories is still there. So this book enabled me to pluck out a little part of that story, a really heartwarming part of that story of how a particular recipe and food item was filled with love and enabled me to create a wonderful red thread of love that connects everybody that you are meant to be connected to and keeps them in your world. And it enabled me to tell that little bit of a story in the book that I don't really go into detail with in other books. So yeah, it's sorry that I got distracted there because my mum's phoning me on the phone, so I'll get back to her. So yeah, it's been a wonderful collaboration. There are 9 other women in the book that are telling their stories and linking them to, you know, how we tell stories from the kitchen. It's definitely a inspiring, heartwarming, and wonderful read for women, and it's about sharing your voice. And Nixie has very much got herself behind this message of it's really important for women to share their stories and find their voice. So the book has a wall of silence in it, words that we heard or were told when we were silenced, and it has a wall of empowerment in it, the empowered words that we have adopted and now own. Now we have found our voices and are speaking out and telling our stories. So the whole ethos of the book is about women stopping being silenced and actually finding their voices. Nixie is so behind this. She's now doing a master's in storytelling and building this publishing house. So it's the first of many collaboration books. So I wanted to come on and share this with you this morning. You can buy it now for a really cheap price on Kindle. I think it's about £1.50 on Kindle, but don't quote me on that. And the paperback will be coming out soon, and you'll be able to purchase that at £14.99. So watch out for that. And I just want to, you know, shout out to like the other amazing women that have been part of this book. So I'm going to shout out to Danny Louise Smith, who is in the book, Leah Palmer, oops, I flicked through to a live there by accident, Jackie Hall, Grace Fuller, Claire Walsh, Jan Ockenden, and Lisa Williams, Kalia Papadopoulos, I hope I pronounced that right, and of course, Elle Jedras and Nixie Foster. So all of those ladies are in the book, have told their stories, and it's a wonderful read. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you want to hear a different part of my story, or read a different part of my story rather, then do buy this book and support the She Aloud movement, which is going to be supporting women to tell their stories. Thank you. Have an awesome day. I will be live on Wednesday this week at 11 instead of Tuesday, because I'm off to Newcastle to see my mum and to have a meeting over there tomorrow. So I'll be live on Wednesday instead with whatever the topic is that I'll be sharing this week. So I will see you then. Have an awesome